Hello and welcome to the Tom Spark Reviews podcast. Today I have a guest from the Discord channel. He goes by Agony, but today he will go by Tyler. Tyler has been very active in the community, helping others troubleshoot VPNs, review VPNs himself, and he's helped keep discussion fun and lively. Thanks for joining the podcast today, Tyler.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me.
Since this is the first episode of the podcast, we can briefly cover what it will be about. We want to talk about video games, TV shows, tech, and of course, VPNs. We'll pick out some interesting discussion topics every week, and if there's interesting news, we could cover that as well. And it will even answer viewer questions that you leave down in the comments down below. So if you have anything to say at all, let me know down in the comments down below, and it'll be answered in next week's episode. And we'll be also uploading the show onto RSS feeds and putting it on the website. So if you do like the podcast, let me down below as well, just to let us know, how you like it. Well, let's first, have you been playing anything, Tyler, anything interesting lately?
Well, I've been looking into GreedFall and I just got Borderlands 3, so I haven't gotten anything new yet, though.
Nice. We've been talking a little bit about Classic WoW and WoW. What is your current thoughts on that right now?
At the times I usually play, the servers are kind of dead, so other people seem to have good popularity, but I don't know. I kind of stopped playing because the times.
What time did you play at?
3 in the morning.
Yeah. Yeah, that is a thing. I feel like unless you're playing some kind of matchmaking system, it is going to feel a little bit like that. But I guess, some people have been complaining that there's too many people contesting quests and stuff, so maybe it wouldn't be as bad for that.
Yeah, when you're questing, it's fine because you don't really have anyone. But then if it's a quest that you need help on, then you kind of also don't have anyone.
Yeah. So I've been playing Borderlands 3, and Tyler just told me he got it as well. And I wasn't actually a huge Borderlands 1 or 2 fan. I would play about a couple hours in, and then I would kind of, lose interest a little bit. I think Borderlands 3 has a similar feel in that you kind of just start out and you're going quest to quest, and most of the quests are pretty simple. And, there's dialogue and stuff like that in the radios and like little kind of story elements. But I think the overarching story feels a bit stronger this time, a little bit more interesting. And I think the team did try to put more emphasis on, there's a little bit more cinematics and stuff like that. So the narrative definitely has like a stronger pull to me. And the guns are just really fun this time as well. They kind of made a big deal about having like alternate fire on the weapons. And I kind of wish there was a little bit more weapons that had that ability. But overall, I think it's pretty strong. And as someone who hasn't really gotten into the other Borderlands, I think this one definitely has potential to, even rope in new fans as well.
I'm hoping that it kind of is more based on 2. I haven't really seen anything on it. I just kind of went in blinded because I didn't want to see anything on it. So I'm hoping it's kind of like based on Borderlands 2, which I heard from people that it is, because I didn't really like Borderlands 1. It kind of felt like their testing phase because it was super broken, and like some quests wouldn't even work unless you're on multiplayer. So I'm kind of hoping it's more similar to the Borderlands 2 and has pretty good single player as well, rather than being based around multiplayer.
Yeah, it's kind of funny because I was trying to do multiplayer with some guy, and the way it kind of works is it like syncs you up by like level and similar quests, but it put me in like a quest, like 2 or 3 quests like above where I was. So the multiplayer, it's kind of weird. It seems like it really only works well for me if like you have a dedicated friend and like a dedicated time you play, and like you're not playing without each other, or else the quests are going to get kind of weird. You're going to be like skipping ahead and going back and forth. So
yeah, you could go forward and back. Like if you like, I had in Borderlands 2 where I would go in with just like at the very start and be started in the middle of the game and do quests all the way up until that point, and then I would just skip to the end of the game.
Yeah. It's kind of funny how they designed that. And this time they also have some extra modes. Kind of like survive as long as you can, and I think there's another mode. Did the other Borderlands have like extra modes like that for multiplayer?
I don't think so. I think it was literally just co-op. That's it.
Oh, cool. So yeah, maybe those modes would be worth trying out as well. I want to talk about GreedFall a little bit. So GreedFall is $50 new game from this company called Spider or something like that, and they've developed some games like Technomancer in the past, and I tried a couple of those. Have always been like super clunky. Seemed like they had potential, but this time it seems like GreedFall has gotten pretty good reviews, and overall people seem to be pretty happy with it. And after playing it for 5 or 6 hours, I could say that it does have very good potential in world building and story and narrative. There's a lot of interesting conversations, and most of the side quests feel fully fleshed out. The only thing is the game definitely has a noticeable amount of jank and a little bit of like cutting corners. There's like one quest where there's like a guy who's gonna drink a vial, and instead of like animating him drinking a vial, it just like he's like, I'm gonna drink a vial, and then it like cuts to like the next segment, and he's like, I drank the vial. Like, it's just kind of like, it just seems kind of dumb that like they couldn't do that animation. And there's some things like that in the game that kind of draw you out of the immersion a little bit. But it is a pretty good game, and I am excited to see. I think there's always room for more of these kind of Western RPGs that are heavy story driven. Did you like The Witcher 3?
I like The Witcher 3, yeah. The combat for me wasn't necessarily like the most entertaining of RPGs, but I think it kind of made up for it in the quest and the story.
So I think GreedFall is even more of that. The combat feels like even worse, and it's really clunky. But the quests and stuff are pretty good.
I heard it's also linear.
Yeah, it does feel a little bit linear. There's like a city that you could kind of go back and forth, and I haven't gotten too far into it. I've gotten past like the first city, but it definitely does feel a little bit more linear. There are like interesting ways to do quests. You could kind of go about them in different ways, and there's nothing like too complex. Like you could sneak around the back, or like instead of talking to someone or break through a lock or something like that. So it's not too complicated, but kind of interesting.
I heard from people that were expecting it to be an open world game kind of complain that it's linear. And then also other people complaining that it's kind of clunky. But for it being AA and Technomancer being their last game, it's pretty good upgrade, I'd say.
So are there any games that you're looking out for this fall, or anything that, sounds like it's going to be really good to you?
I haven't really liked Zelda in a while. I think the last Zelda I liked was Ocarina of Time. Which was a long time ago. I'm going to get one. Okay. I don't have one right now.
So you might pick up
I want to get I want to get the new Zelda. Even though I don't really like Zelda that much, but
you never played Breath of the Wild?
No, well, okay, I've played I probably adventured for like 40 minutes, and then I stopped playing. I didn't really do much in it though.
Yeah.
I liked how they took a different approach to it though than like how they used to be.
Yeah, a lot of people. I actually saw like some people running on emulator on the PC, running it like at 4K 60 FPS.
Oh gosh,
that could be, on the Switch. The Switch definitely has its hardware limitations. Is I think one of the weak points. In handheld mode, I think it's like 720p or something, and Breath of the Wild definitely does have a lot of stuttering and stuff. So.
Yeah, it had a major stuttering when it first came out because that's when I played it first. And it would like literally the whole screen would just freeze. Yeah. And it's like, oh, that's definitely immersion breaking.
I think it's definitely still rough, but people who like Zelda can kind of overlook those things. Let's talk about some TV shows we've been watching. I've been watching Carnival Row. Have you checked that out yet?
No, I haven't. I've pretty much just been watching what I stopped watching a couple years ago, The Flash, just catching up on it. And then after that, I'm going to start watching Stranger Things.
Oh, you haven't watched any Stranger Things?
Nope, not yet. My brother watched the whole thing, and he said it's really good. So I'm like, oh, God.
Yeah, Stranger Things, it's a good show. It's kind of one of those shows where it's kind of transcended just like regular TV show status. It's become like really big, kind of like Game of Thrones almost, I would say, in terms of its like niche.
I heard there's people getting Netflix just because of the show.
Right, and that kind of leads me to my next point with like Carnival Row on Amazon Prime Video. I think Prime Video is doing some interesting things with some of these kind of exclusive titles they have, like Carnival Row. It feels really like big budget. They have some big actors like Orlando Bloom, and it's almost like a dark and twisted version of Harry Potter if it wasn't about school and it was more about like just like rival politics and racism and all sorts of interesting issues it talks about. But if you guys haven't seen Carnival Row, go ahead and check that out on Prime Video, as well as The Boys. Have you heard anything about The Boys?
No, I never even heard of it at all.
It's really good, dark and gritty. It's a superhero show actually that kind of goes against the mold. The superheroes are like celebrities, and they could like pretty much just do whatever they want.
That
So
sounds
really,
interesting.
really good show. Let's talk a little bit about VPN. I know you've been testing a lot of VPNs lately. Is there anything that's super notable to you, or something you'd like the audience to know that you've kind of been, testing out and some of your findings?
Well, I've noticed that there's a lot of people who've been suggesting Express. That's the biggest one that I've been testing the most.
ExpressVPN.
And yeah, and I haven't noticed anyone talking about it being unstable, but I've noticed it's pretty unstable on any protocol, any server. Doesn't matter.
Mhm.
I've had a tech also check in what's happening. He literally just said use a different server. I'm like, okay, I've done that like 3 times. Come on now.
Yeah.
Support does the same thing. I haven't been able to find any fix to it yet, but the speeds are fine and everything. Like the VPN's fine itself. It's just if you could get past the disconnections. And I
Yeah.
use it for everything, so it kind of defeats the purpose if it disconnects 3 to 5 times a day.
I think that is one of the hardest things to test in terms of like a review is the like long-term use case of, having it on every single day. Um, I don't know how I would test like long scale use besides just like it would take forever to really test every single one. And a lot of VPNs, like you said, if it's not working that well, I don't want to be using it that much, right?
Yeah.
So I had that problem a lot when I first started reviewing VPNs. So many of the VPNs were so glitchy that it was just a huge pain in the ass to even take a look at them. Um, so yeah, that's too bad about Express VPN.
PIA has kind of had kind of a similar problems, but not in terms of like disconnections, in terms of their DNS server kind of like going to the wrong IP for certain websites. So like Netflix and Amazon and things like that won't work until you change it to like a different DNS.
Yeah, I've actually heard a lot of people complain about private internet access with emails and different things, like not working with the email. Have you seen any of that, or not really noticed?
It's fine with Gmail. Yahoo, it could have some problems with, at least with me, with taking absolute ages to load. But then again, it's just Yahoo. And really the main one that people use is Gmail. So with Gmail, it's fine besides for like the 5 seconds or however long on the screen it says there's an error and it just sits there for 5 seconds. And so like an added 5 seconds of just waiting basically. But other than that, I haven't found any issues.
It's kind of funny how, we were talking the other day about how private internet access used to be the most popular VPN provider. And nowadays it's definitely kind of, I guess maybe just because of the reputational things they've done. I don't know if you're familiar with like Roger Ver.
Not necessarily, no.
Roger Ver is like the creator of like a Bitcoin Cash, and a lot of people don't like him, and he's like on the management board for private internet access. That and other things. They hired like Mark Karpeles, who was like he made a lot of people lose a lot of money with Bitcoin, and he's actually like I think he's in jail right now or something. They like hired him to be like some higher management at PIA. A lot of those things have contributed. Among like they pulled their forums as well, so people couldn't use the forums anymore. Just a lot of weird decisions, and for a while there,
forums is weird.
Yeah, they were like, oh, just move to Reddit, but a lot of people like using the forums, and it's a different community and stuff. So an interesting private internet access. But yeah, it does have pretty good speeds in all my tests.
Yeah, good speeds, good P2P. Everything about it's good besides its DNS is a little bit messed up.
So let's talk about like VPNs. Can they do anything unique anymore? And what does it take for a VPN to stand out? So I was looking at Windscribe, and they were pretty much kind of popped up around 2016, and now it's 2019. and they've definitely become one of the bigger VPN providers out there, surpassing some other VPNs that are older even. I think they're actually a little bit even more popular in TorGuard and some of the other kind of industry veterans that are very reputable. And I think one way Windscribe has done that is its free model. A lot of the, solid VPNs out there don't have free models, and a lot of the free VPNs out there aren't really that reputable. So I think Windscribe was like, well, what if we can make a free VPN that has a good reputation and is a solid product? And I think that's one way they've kind of been successful. What do you think?
I think so too. Just kind of having that free model, especially because most of the people I've seen just complaining about certain things on the Reddit has mostly been people on the free version, or like a lot of people asking for VPNs but not wanting to pay. It's always going to like Windscribe. That's the most popular one anyway. And also being able to support streaming as well is kind of a big thing. The free version doesn't really support it, but streaming is something pretty big that people like having for VPNs that I've noticed. And it's also pretty affordable, actually.
Yeah. It's
As
free,
a
but it's also affordable for the paid.
Yeah, and I like their build a plan. That's pretty unique. I think they're the only ones that I've seen to have build a plan. So like if like all you want a VPN for is like, let's say you have a VPN that is also pretty cheap, like let's say Mulvad or something, you could just go in and get like WinFlix US and WinFlix UK and then the unlimited data for like $3, I think it is. And then you have two VPNs for $8 a month. One supports streaming, one supports all your P2P.
Yeah. One thing I've always been thinking about, like VPNs and Windscribe especially, I almost wish that some VPNs had more transparency with how much like money they were making. Like, it would be interesting to see, VPNs publicly list like, I know some like gaming companies list like profit and how much they've made. So and VPN companies are always bragging about how many users they have. But it would be interesting to see, how much profit some of these companies are making. Like Windscribe, like the build a plan. I think it's like a good idea, as well as the free. But I kind of wonder, you know, what how
How
much
much it hurts
money.
their profit.
Yeah, because you'd think if it was so easy to do that, then these VPN companies would have done it before to have a free plan. And the fact that so many VPN companies don't have free plans kind of leads me to believe that it does, I definitely think, hurt the profit. So maybe it's helped Windscribe gain its popularity, but at the same time, maybe it's also hurt its profits a little bit.
Yeah, because the only VPNs I know of that have free plans are Windscribe and Proton, like that actually last, and you
And
could
both
just
of
keep
these
on connecting
VPNs
to.
are like newer VPNs, not like kind of veterans in the industry.
Yeah, they're not
Um,
like other VPNs like Air. I think Air
mhm.
is a pretty decently old one.
It's funny because most of the VPNs actually came out around the same time. Pretty much like right around where Snowden was like releasing leaks about all the surveillance and everything like that, around 2013, 2012. That's pretty much when all of them kind of like sprung up. There are some other ones out there that are like super old. I think like Black VPN is like very old, and some of these websites. Let me look it up right now.
2009 for Black VPN.
So Black VPN's been around for a while. Oh wait, okay. Here's the one I was thinking of. Let's see. Look up
Uh,
BT Guard, btguard.com. That I think is one of the older ones. Well, it says 2000. Okay, so at the bottom of the page it says 2014. That is the last time they updated.
and it says Strong VPN launched in 2005.
Oh wow.
That
Okay.
is old.
Strong VPN is currently owned by IPVanish and has been owned for a while. So I'm not really quite too sure what they were doing before IPVanish took them over. Of course, they're also owned by J2 Global, which is IGN and all those other kind of websites.
Those are the websites you usually see promoting them too. At least I
Yeah.
have been.
So what do you think there's anything that a VPN can do to kind of stand out, or like I mean, it's a pretty hard question to answer. What could a VPN do to really stand out besides just ticking all
Um,
the boxes, of course? Because a lot of them try to do that, you know.
Mainly so um something like being able to support China is one thing that is something that I don't see too often in terms of like what they're promoting. Like Astral with China, at least how they pronounce it out, like promote it. But for like standing out, that yeah, that's kind of a hard one because there's a lot of things they can do.
hmm Yeah, I think the China thing is definitely something tricky, and it's only going to be getting harder for these VPN companies to work in China. I don't know if it will even be possible. I know a lot of the ones I used to recommend, like TorGuard and stuff, has a lot of stealth VPN features, and they had some articles talking about China and stuff. But I even kept stopped making articles and videos about China and VPN because I can't really verify they're working without going over there myself. And I've seen there are websites where you can see which websites are blocked in China, but it definitely is a tricky thing. Um, I think for me, what a VPN could do, I don't know if there's really anything that it can do because if there are products out in the market that pretty much do everything you want, um, I don't know if there's really a VPN that could come out that like we need another VPN. You know what I mean? I
Yeah.
think perhaps VPN supporting new protocols like WireGuard and other kind of advancements can be interesting, but
Maybe IPv6. That's not that common yet.
yeah, that could be cool. I also think having new security features and stuff like that. I know Perfect Privacy has a lot of interesting things they're doing. They have like a neuro routing kind of thing. It's hard to say how much of a buzzword it is without like knowing a ton about the programming and technology specifics. So I don't know if a lot of people are going to be captured by that kind of security and stuff like that because a lot of the most popular VPNs are pretty basic. Stuff like NordVPN and ExpressVPN. They're not super complicated to use, and they're not really doing anything that special necessarily. They're just spending tons of money on marketing.
Yeah, I've there's people who do P2P. There's something they would like, uh, which because a lot of them don't really do the interface settings in qBittorrent is a kill switch that doesn't matter if the VPN is application is on or not. It's always active because of a background process. There's a couple people I've seen on Reddit's wanting a kill switch like that. The only thing with the kill switch like that is you're no longer going to be able to really have split tunneling.
Okay, well, that was pretty good discussion about VPN. All right, guys, so that's going to wrap up this little episode, just a starting out kind of podcast introduction. Let us know down in the comments down below again if you have any comments you would like to see answered next week or anything about VPN at all, or even some discussions you would like us to have or some VPNs you would like to be discussed. And thanks for joining us on this podcast. My name is Tom Spark, and we also have,
Tyler.
and we'll see
Tyler,
you
also
again.
known as Agony.
We'll see you again next week.